Freedom of Information Act. FOIA. BZWATCHDOG News Network.
Good afternoon, City of Hillsboro. This is Megan.
Megan Henderson, you know how I love to ruin your weekends by calling you on Friday afternoons. Do you know the reason for my call today, ma'am?
No, sir.
I just sent an email to you
Oh, okay. Let me see.
that will kind of explain everything and cover your rear end for any information I'm about to ask you for.
Okay.
And since you're the one that does hiring and firing in the city of Hillsboro, I figured
Well,
I would
I'm
just...
not the only one who does hiring. and
Well, I
firing.
know you do a lot of the authors, you know. I know you're in the loop, hopefully.
Okay.
So I was getting ready to report on a subject matter, and I had to hold a screeching halt because I got more info and I wanted to confirm it
Oh, okay.
before I did anything. Are you aware of an animal control situation
Yes.
that occurred yesterday? That
I am aware that something took place and that an individual has separated from employment with us early this morning, as far as I know.
okay?
I don't think that's exactly correct.
Because you only have what, 2 animal control officers, right?
Let me see if I've got a. There's the individual in question was the person that as far as I knew, was primarily responsible for animal control. There may be somebody else that's also responsible for animal control somewhat, but I think this guy was kind of our lead.
So you might have 2 employees involved in this incident.
It would surprise me to learn that there were more than one person involved in this, as I understand it.
Okay. What are you able to talk about the incident? Are you going to put out a press release?
I'm really not. I as far as I know, as far as I know, the let me see. The incident that led to the separation of employment took place not during work hours, and not the person was not technically acting in their official capacity.
I gathered that from what I was told. I agree with that.
And the incident took place outside Hillsboro city limits. So to the extent that there's some kind of investigation into the particulars, that would be a thing that is
but I have
still taking place and ongoing. So like that much, I don't really feel like I'm qualified to speak to.
So I was asking about a press release, if that was something you're going to... What I do have a concern with is the information that you're stating is the information that I've got as well. And I agree with that it was completely outside of business hours when it occurred, and that it was by an animal control officer who may or may not, depending on the scheduling parameters that may be set forth with the city of Hillsboro with the Department of Public Safety. So I don't have those details yet. Sounds like you don't have those details yet. However, if he picked them up in his official capacity, it no longer matters whether he was acting outside his official capacity. And from what I'm being told, they were picked up during business hours in his official capacity. Because he came twice. He picked up the mama, and he picked up the babies. I've got the whole story because the source of the dogs has reached out to me. I've got pictures, I've got text messages, I got everything, Megan. I probably got more than you got.
Sounds like it.
Yeah, so I'm just confirming before I publish, because you know me about my facts.
Yeah.
I like to make sure my receipts are all in order. I just wanted to make sure I don't post the wrong employee, because I would hate to, put someone's face out there that didn't do anything wrong. But I also wanted to see what y'all's position if you guys were going to have a press release, because then I can post my story in conjunction with your press release. That way you guys have an actual statement, and because I've got an actual source from the people that the dogs belong to.
Yeah, let me see if there's going to be a press release.
I would highly recommend it on this one. I would suggest you go talk to Tony and you write it, because I really I would really think you'd want to get to the bottom of this. I'm gonna. What time are you planning on leaving today?
Probably 5.
Okay, because I was thinking that's about right. I am gonna wait till 5 to see what you can come up with if you want to issue a press release publicly on the Hillsboro Department of Public Safety or the city page, or you can email it directly to me. But I have requested the records. As far as in the employee being terminated, all that public information is public. But technically, he was in his official capacity, Megan, when he picked them dogs up.
Yes, when they were picked up, that seems to be unarguable. Yes.
Yes. So that at that point, what he does afterwards, he's in his official capacity, because he represented himself as an animal control officer picking up the dogs, not just once but twice.
Well, and not speaking about this, but just speaking theoretically.
Yeah.
Anyone employed in an animal control position, I think, has to be unimpeachable in terms of their treatment of animals.
I agree with that statement.
And that would regardless of where the dogs came from, I would think.
Megan, you know that my channel is BZWATCHDOG, the logo's a dog of my dog that goes everywhere with me. So, and we've brought up dog situation, we've brought up animal control situation, animal control quality with the kennels. Me and Amy Howell have brought this up numerous times before. The question is, don't you guys have a shelter or something like is it Paw's Place or something like that's in town?
We sort of share a facility with Paw Pals.
A Paw Pals, okay.
Where they operate a shelter and rescue at the same facility, and they control their portion of the facility, and we control our portion of the facility, and our portion of the facility is just basically animal control.
Okay. Is now in that where's that facility located?
Out on the so it's kind of towards the high school. It's on Abbott Avenue, headed south of town.
Okay. And my other question is it full out there? Is that why maybe he did what he did? Because it's just rumor from what I heard. I don't have anything. I couldn't find anything, but I was told that the shelter was 100% full and any animals that came in were euthanized. And from what I'm being told, that's not supposed to be a organization that euthanizes animals. So I'm just trying to find out.
So I think I don't want to overstate. So Paw Pals would not euthanize animals. Paw Pals just wouldn't accept them.
Okay.
But to the extent that animal control, we don't get to pick whether we take in more animals or not, right? Like if the animal is surrendered to us, we've got to deal with it. Or if the animal is running at large, we have to deal with it. You know what I mean? So it is entirely so let me just say again on a hypothetical. Hypothetically, if Paw Pals was full, it is possible that animals would be euthanized. And so I assume you're recording me. Is that correct?
I'm always recording, Megan.
I figured.
It's a one-party state, but since you asked, I gave you an honest answer. I wasn't going to lie to you.
Yeah. No, and I just want to be careful in my phrasing. I mean, just to your question, I can imagine a situation in which somebody really felt like there were not any good alternatives. Imagine, and I don't know the details. I don't want to try to speak to any details.
Well, that's why I'm surprised we didn't speak.
Overstate.
That's why I'm surprised we didn't speak to the employee before termination, because maybe there was more to the story.
I think that it's just a very, very difficult process. Like, the whole thing is very, very difficult. It's animal control is a profession where people burn out because of the pressure and because of the desire to do good and the resources and I mean, it's just a very difficult profession. I can imagine someone being being under a lot of pressure and occasionally maybe making a choice in the moment for reasons that felt right at the time, but that doesn't change the standard of care that professionals have.
Well, there, like I said, there may be more to that story. I mean, the thing is, if they're euthanizing animals at the shelter because they're full or for whatever reason, and I
don't know that that's the case. I know that Paw Pals would just not accept any more animals, and that they are continually and always full.
Okay, so what has the city decided to do with animal control issue?
I don't know. I'll have to find out.
The last thing you're going to want to do is circle the wagons and do damage control. The best way to do it is get out in front of it, admit that it was a mistake.
Again, damage control, we're always trying to do damage control, meaning that we're always trying to limit damage. But limiting damage includes limiting damage to puppies.
The damage has already been done. You can't undo it. The only thing you can do now is admit that it was that this happened.
Yeah,
we don't know why it happened. We're still working on it, but to find a better way so this doesn't happen again. That could be getting a bigger facility. But I also don't understand why he separated the mom from the babies. So these are questions that I'd like to have the full story.
Yeah, and from I have to separate like what's our role in this as an employer. I don't think we would try to tell his story.
No, but you're 100% liable at this point. You kind of are obligated to at least get his story if he's willing to tell his story. Because
I think that he's probably had a conversation with his supervisor. But still, that's.
He does have some sort of.
That's not going to be the city's position.
I understand that. But the city's position, again, that. But my speculation is the facility was full, and instead of having to euthanize, it was more of a moral decision to do what he did. Whether you think it's acting outside the capacity of his role, or in the capacity of his role, he was still acting in the capacity of his role when he picked them dogs up. So anything that happened after that, it's still on the city. Like I said, I'm expecting, and this is why I'm going to cut you loose today. I'm not going to keep you long because I like to get a press release by 5 p.m. if you can get one. I don't even care if it's just a basic synopsis of facts that occurred from your position as a city manager. This situation, it may be referred to PETA. I don't know. It's just, I do know that I had somebody call me from the other shelter in Whitney that might have been an alternative option. So for a facility, I don't know if you've reached out to them in Whitney, but they may be willing to help with a shelter in place if the one in Hillsboro is full.
Yeah, I don't know what the conditions are at the shelter right now.
I'd like to talk to Tony Kane. I'd like to know. Are you gonna allow Tony Kane to have a meeting? Can we get him up there on the front of town hall at 5 p.m. for a press conference? I got some questions for him.
I can certainly ask him.
Just saying. I mean, he's head of the Department of Public Safety, which covers animal control. So, you know, you just put it off on him, and we could put him on the spotlight and have him answer some questions instead.
Well, I think probably what we'll do is issue a statement, but I need to get with him and get all the facts.
Well, then I'll let you go so you can get that statement. Like I said, I'll wait till 5. I was getting ready to hit the push button, but since something else has developed, there's no reason to cause you undue stress since the situation has already been officially terminated. So if you can get me something and either post it on the Facebook page or email me when you do, I'll be more than happy to post your guys' official press statement with what I'm gonna put out after I see what you officially put out.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks so much.
All right, thanks, Megan.
Bye.
Bye.
Freedom of Information Act. FOIA. Watchdog News Network. BZWATCHDOG.